Hello geographers, welcome to another geographical lesson. And today we're going to cover the concept of wind system. In this lesson, we're going to understand how the wind systems affects the Earth's surfaces and our Earth's atmosphere. In our lesson, we're going to cover several content such as the concept of wind, types of wind system, including global wind system, local wind system, and the zonal wind system. Another concept to be covered in this lesson include importance of wind system. Let us start by discussing about the wind system or wind concept. In conceptualizing about the wind, by definition, wind refers to the horizontal movement of air from the region of higher pressure to the region of lower pressure, or it may also be described as the movement of air from the region of lower temperature to the region of higher temperature. As we defined, usually the wind is the movement of air from the region of high pressure to the region of low pressure. Vice versa, we can say that winds is the movement of air from the region of low temperature to the region of high temperature. The region of low temperature is usually cool, hence high pressure. But the region of high temperature is usually hot, hence low pressure. For that case, the wind usually moves from the region of low temperature to the region of high temperature. The term wind is applied only to horizontal movement, although both vertical and horizontal motion are important in the atmosphere. Much more air is involved in the horizontal movements. Wind are the means by which the atmosphere attempts to balance the uneven distribution of pressure over the Earth's surfaces. The movement of wind also plays a major role in correcting the imbalances in radiation heating and cooling that occur over the Earth's surfaces. For that case, the wind plays a major crucial factor in avoiding overheating or overcooling of the Earth's surfaces. Wind measurement. Wind, it is measured in terms of its speed and direction. Wind speed is measured by the instrument known as anemometer. And this is a picture which shows how anemometer looks like. While the wind direction is measured by the instrument known as wind vane. And this is the instrument which shows how the wind vanes looks like. Types of wind system. There are 3 types of wind system. These types have been classified according to the area they affect. Therefore, wind system can be classified as global or planetary wind system, local wind system, and zonal wind system. Let us start by discussing about a global or planetary wind system. Global or planetary wind system refers to the type of wind system which operates across the largest area. These wind systems operate from one continent to another continent. Types of global or planetary wind system. Global or planetary wind system types includes trade winds, mid-latitude westerlies winds, and the polar easterlies wind. Let us start by discussing about trade wind. Trade wind refers to the wind systems which operate from the mid-latitude high pressure 25 degrees and 35 degrees north and south of the equator toward the equatorial low pressure belt. Trade wind can be northeast trade wind, which originates from the mid-latitude 30 north of the equator toward the equatorial low pressure belt, or it can also be southeast trade wind, which refers to the wind which originated from the mid-latitude 30 south of the equator toward the equatorial low pressure belt. The trade wind, it normally operates from mid-latitude subtropical high pressure belt 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south of the equator toward the equatorial low pressure belt, which experiences low pressure. Trade wind, it can be north trade wind, which operates from 30 degrees north toward the equator, or it can be south trade wind, which operates from 30 degrees south toward the equatorial low pressure belt. Another type of global or planetary wind is westerlies wind. Westerly wind refers to the planetary wind systems which originated from subtropical high pressure belt, that is 30 degrees north and south of the equator toward the subpolar low pressure belt, that is 30 degrees north and south of the equator. This wind, it refers to as westerlies because it originated from the west to east. The wind that blow or flow polarwards out of the subtropical high pressure cells, it is in the northern hemisphere, are deflected to the right and thus blow from the southwest, but those in the southern hemisphere are deflected to the left and blow out of the northwest. The westerlies wind, it normally operates from the subtropical high pressure belt 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south toward subpolar low pressure belt, that is 30 degrees south and 60 degrees south and 60 degrees north. Subpolar region, it usually have low pressure. Therefore, the wind operates from subtropical high pressure toward subpolar low pressure belt. This wind are called westerlies because it moves from west to east, in south and north of the equator. Another type of global planetary wind is polar easterlies. Polar easterlies wind refers to the planetary wind systems which originated from the polar high latitude 90 degrees north and south of the equator toward subpolar low pressure belt. This wind it refers to as easterlies wind because it originated from the east to west. Polar easterlies wind it normally operates from 90 degrees from the north poles from the colder areas northwards and southwards toward subpolar low pressure belt north and south. Polar easterlies wind it originated or it moves from polar regions or from polar high pressure belt to subpolar low pressure belt. It refers to as polar easterlies because normally this wind it moves from east toward west. Another types of wind system is local winds. Local winds refer to the wind systems which affect smallest area. These winds it operated frequently but affect small area. It normally influenced by the relief of an area, such as mountain or water bodies, such as ocean or lake. Types of local wind. There are several types of local winds, which includes monsoon wind, anabatic wind, katabatic wind, sea breeze and land breeze, and the Chinook wind, or it may be referred to as descending wind. Let us start by discussing about monsoon wind. By definition, monsoon is the word which derived from the Arabic word mausim, which means season. This word has been used by the Arab sailors for many centuries to describe seasonal change in wind directions across the Arabian Sea between Arabia and India. As a meteorological term, monsoon refers to the type of wind which tends to reverse or change from one season to the next, that is, summer and winter. One of these season wind direction typically brings dry condition and the other brings wet condition. This is caused by the seasonal in temperature variation between the land and the sea. The monsoon it is most characteristic of the southern Asia, although it occurred on the other continent as well, including Africa. As we see, monsoon is the variation of movement of air between the summer and the winter. Let us discuss on the summer. During the summer, the land it tended to be warmer than the sea, which resulting into low pressure into the land than the sea. This condition it led to the air blow from the sea into the land to cool the land. As we see, during the summer, the land it tends to have low pressure than the sea, which have high pressure. Therefore, during the summer, the air or the wind will normally operate from the sea toward the land where there is low pressure. But during the winter, the sea it tends to be warmer than the land, which resulting into the low pressure into the sea than the land. Hence, The air, it moves from the land into the sea to cool the sea. During the winter season, the Earth's surfaces it receives high rainfall and little insolation. Hence, the land is tended to cool faster than the sea. Thus, the wind it blows from the land toward the sea. As we see, during the winter, the land it will be very cool, hence high pressure. But the sea, because it receives insolation very slowly and loses very slowly, during the winter, the sea it tends to be warm, hence low pressure. For that case, during the winter, the air will move from the region of high pressure, that is from the land, to the region of low pressure, that is to the sea. Anabatic wind. Anabatic wind refers to the movement of wind from the bottom part of the mountain or hill toward the top part of the mountain. Anabatic, it occurs during the day, whereby the bottom part of the mountain it is cooler than the top part of the mountain. The bottom part it experiences high pressure, while the top part it experiences low pressure. During the daytime, the top part of the mountain it receives insolation quickly than the bottom part of the mountain. Therefore, during the daytime, the bottom part of the mountain, because it receives insolation slowly, it tends to have high pressure, while the top part of the mountain, because it receives insolation very quickly, it tends to have high temperature, hence low pressure. For that case, during the daytimes, the wind or air, it will blow from the bottom part of the mountain toward the top part of the mountain. The action it reveals during the night. Where do we have katabatic wind? During the night, we have katabatic wind, whereby katabatic wind is the movement of wind from the top of the mountain or hill toward the bottom part of the mountain. It occurs during the night, whereby the bottom part it tends to be warmer than the top part. Hence, the top part it experiences high pressure, while the bottom part it experiences low pressure. As the top part of the mountain it tends to receive insolation quickly, also it cool or it loses it quickly, while the bottom part of the mountain, once it receives insolation slowly, also it loses it slowly. Also, hence during the night, the bottom part of the mountain it tends to have high temperature, hence low pressure, while the top part of the mountain, because it receives insolation quickly and loses it quickly, during the night it tends to be cool, hence high pressure at the mountainous part. Therefore, the general movement of air it will move from the top part of the mountain toward the bottom part of the mountain, which experiences low pressure. Sea breeze and land breeze. These refer to the wind system that occurred between the land and the sea as a result of variation of temperature between the land and the sea. Let us start by discussing about the sea breeze. Sea breeze refers to the movement of wind from the sea to the land. It occurs during the day, whereby the sea it is cooler than the land. During the daytime, the sea and the land it receives insolation, while the sea it receives insolation very slowly, hence it have high pressure. While the land it receives insolation very quickly, hence low pressure. Therefore, because of high pressure during the daytime in the sea and the low pressure during the daytime in the land, the general movement of air it will move from the sea toward the land, and that's referred to as sea breeze. The action it reverses during the night when we have land breeze. Land breeze refers to the movement of wind from the land to the sea. Land breeze it occurs during the night, where the land it is very cool than the sea. The land it becomes cooler because it receives heat quickly, but also it loses very quickly. That's why it having high pressure during the night, while the sea it remains warmer because the sea it receives heat slowly and it lost slowly. Thus, until the night, the sea it contains warm condition, hence low pressure. So, we experience during the night the land to have high pressure while the sea to have low pressure, because the land it receives insolation very slowly, very quickly, and lost it very quickly. So we experience during the night the land to have high pressure while the sea to have low pressure. Therefore, the movement of air will move from the land toward the sea, which experiences low pressure. This action we term it as land breeze. Zonal wind. The third types of wind system refers to as zonal wind. In zonal wind, we have one type of wind, that is jet stream wind. Jet stream wind refers to the strong wind within the upper troposphere, which moving generally from west to east around the world in the mid-latitudes or hemisphere. The jet stream wind it always moves from west to east. It always moves from west to east in mid-latitude areas such as subtropical and polar fronts or polar areas. What's not here is that jet stream wind it always originated from west to east. Jet stream wind it was named jet wind after Second World War, where the speed of jet was tend to increase from west to east and decrease from east to west. Jet stream wind it can be polar jet stream wind, which occur in polar areas, and also can be tropical jet stream wind, which it originated in tropical areas. When it originates in tropical areas, in mid-latitude tropical areas, it termed as tropical jet. But if it will originated in polar areas, it will be termed as polar jet. Also, if it occurred at the high level of the atmosphere, it refers to as the high jet wind, while when it occurred at the lower level, it refers to as the lower jet wind. Types of jet wind include polar jet stream wind, which occur in polar areas, and the subtropical jet stream wind, which occur in tropics areas, both northern part and southern part of the equator. We experience jet stream wind, which is a type of wind moving very fast from west to east. Let us look on the fact affecting the speed and direction of wind. First factor is pressure gradient. If there is high pressure in one area than in another, air will begin to move from the higher pressure toward the low pressure in response to pressure gradients force, as shown in the figure below. This region it's seen to have high pressure. Starting from this isobars toward this, the pressure it decreases from this region toward this region. Therefore, we do expect that the air will start to move from the region of high pressure, that is from this isobars toward this isobars. Therefore, the arrangement of these gradients pressure, we call it pressure gradients because the air will move from the region of high pressure gradients toward the low pressure gradients. Another factor which affects the direction and speed of the wind is rotation of the earth or Coriolis force. Coriolis force refers to the apparent deflection in the path of moving object in response to rotation of the earth. During the rotation of the earth, the wind are always produced. As we have defined, Coriolis force, we say that is the deflection of the moving object in response to earth rotation. While the earth is rotated from west to east, it produces some kind of winds due to earth rotations. The rotation of the earth, it causes the movement of wind from the center outward the pole areas.
Doesn't move in a straight line.
As we see, the rotation of the earth, it causes the movement of wind from the center outward the pole areas. Once the earth, it rotates from west to east, it usually produces some kind of air which deflected toward the pole areas in northern poles and south poles. And this rotation, it affects the air movement due to different deflection of air which have been produced as a result of earth rotation, whereby some air will deflect the north poles and others will deflect toward south poles. Coriolis force refers to the force due to earth rotation. We might note that it obeys the Farrell's laws. Farrell's laws, it states that any object moving freely in southern hemisphere, it deflected to its right, while in the southern hemisphere, it deflected to its left. The Coriolis force, it produces a type of wind known as geostrophic wind. For that case, by definition, geostrophic wind refers to the type of wind that is produced as a result of earth rotation. Another factor which affects the movement of wind is relief. Presence of mountain, it tends to act as a windbreaker. Therefore, it changes the direction and reduces the speed and strength of the wind. While in flat areas with no mountains, the wind it tends to have high speed. Another factor is vegetation. presence of vegetation on the Earth's surfaces, it affects the wind speed and the direction. Since it acts as the breaker which can reduce the speed of wind with its direction. Importance of wind. The movement of wind over the Earth's surfaces, it have very crucial factor or key role. Some of its rules include the following. Wind are important in generate electricity. Also, wind it helps information of different landforms. Example, in desert areas, we might find rock pedestals, zoogens, yardans, which are formed as a result of wind actions. Also, winds it influences wind formation. Example, in the windward sides. Wind it can be the source of water wave, whereby the direction of wave in the ocean is usually controlled by the prevailing wind. Prevailing wind is the one which influences the strength of the wave in the ocean. Lastly, wind it regulates the temperature of the place. Thank you for listening. Welcome to the next lesson.